Okay. Like Challah Gimel Gimel. If she dedicated her dough before she rolled it out and redeemed it, it's liable. After she rolled it out and redeemed it, it is liable. If she dedicated it before she rolled it out and the treasurer rolled it out, and thereupon she redeemed it, it is exempt because of the time when it was redeemed, it was rendered liable as it was exempt. Similarly, if one dedicates his produce before the time for tithing had come and redeemed it, he's liable. If after the time for tithing had come and he redeemed it, it is liable. If he dedicated before it was completed and the treasurer completed it and he redeemed it afterwards, it is exempt because at the time when it is rendered liable, it was exempt. Um, well, if a non-Jew provided a Jew, I'm sorry, if a non-Jew provided a Jew to make a dough for him, it is exempt from challah. If he presented it to him as a gift before rolling it out, he's liable. After rolling it out, he's exempt. If one makes dough with a non-Jew, if the portion of the Jew does not equal the measure liable to the challah, it's exempt from challah.
Hey, Gershon is Geyer. Okay, again, we're dealing once again with the same sort of topic of when does the chiyuv come about, and and again, if the chiyuv came into effect at a time when the dough was patur, um, then it'll be part of Reb Challah. So here's a Gershon is Geyer. So he was non-Jewish, and while he was busy making the dough, um, and the Beis Din came and knocked on his door and said, "Listen, you want to come and tovel?" And he said, "Sure." So he left his dough alone and he went to the mikveh, and now he came back and now he's Jewish. Okay, so now he had this dough. Nase achelo nisgayer. So if the dough was complete before they took him off to the mikveh, he's patur. He doesn't have to take challah off it. Misha nisgayer, however, if he finished rolling the dough after he converted, then he's chayav in challah. Im safek. Now, if he can't remember where it was, he was so excited about, or let's say he left it in the hands of his Jewish friend who carried on making the dough,
Right.
and and we're not sure at what point the non-Jew toiveled and became Jewish, um, while he was busy making the dough. The imsafek chayav, right? Because this is a mitzvah d'oraisa, and if you've got a mitzvah d'oraisa, then you have to be go l'chumrah and make a okay. V'ein chayvim aleha chomesh. However, there's no obligation of chomesh if a non-kohen accidentally ate off it because it's a safek. So once you're in the parsha of Safek, then we also have certain leniencies. Okay, there's no chomesh. Rabbi Akiva omer hakol holech achar hakrima betanor. And now this statement of Rabbi Akiva actually is pertains to the entire discussion that we've had up until date. It's not just about this Mishnah. He's coming back and saying everything that you've been saying about Misha Gilgala, right? Where when you finish
Right.
rolling the dough, he says that's not when the chiyuv of challah comes. It comes from when it forms a crust in the oven. Okay, this is not the halacha, as you know, but now that we see Rabbi Akiva's opinion, we see that all of these halachas that we've seen up until now about when does it take effect, that he disagrees in every Mishnah. Okay, Mishnah Zayin. Oh, say Isa min hachitzim or min haorez. Okay, so he makes a combined flour using rice flour and wheat flour together. Im yesh bat tam dagan, if the overall taste is the taste of wheat flour, chayeves b'challah, then you still have to take challah off it. V'yotze ba adam yedei chavos of a pesach. This one blows my mind. You could that if that was the case, then if you made matzah out of such a flour, you would be yotze on it for matzah.
Wheat
Okay.
and rice. Okay.
Yeah, but as long as it tastes of wheat, but if it's got a mixture of wheat and rice in it, it's still going to be valid matzah. Okay, but im ein ba tam dagan, and the conversely, if it doesn't have the taste of wheat flour, ein achayos b'challah, then there's no obligation of challah. Ein adam yotze ba yedei chovas of Pesach. Oh. Excuse me. And of course you wouldn't be Yotze on Pesach. Now, interestingly, remember that other Mishnah we had about the dog dough, um,
Right.
with the dividing line, is it edible or not? Do people eat it or not? And we had a whole bunch of halachas. Can you make an erev with it? Can you make a shituf with it? Can you Are you chayav on it if it became chametz? Yeah, are you and I assume that all the same halachas would apply in our combination of rice and wheat flour. Like, does it qualify as would you be able to make a zimun on it? Is all going to make the go into the same bucket of halachas over here. That's
Because the rice is there, so Ashkenazim we need it then.
Mishnah is
Somehow.
before you have this Ashkenazi thing,
Right.
but um, more importantly, the rice flour would be bottle. Kitnius is
Right.
bottle of. Okay.
Right.
Everyone gets like very, very hit up about kitnius in all these ingredients, and I always think like, but kitnius is battle barov. So you can't do the bittul lechatchila, and that's the thing is you can't do bittul lechatchila. But I've been doing this thought experiment like every year. I keep asking like why not? Is like, let's say you've got a ketchup that's got a good Sfaradi hechsher on it, but it says
Right.
lo kitnius bilvad. So where the heck are the kitnius? Oh, so maybe they used some kitnius oil,
Right.
something
Right.
like that. Like it's like a few drops of oil inside this whole thing. It should be butter.
Right. That would make sense.
Yeah.
Did Rabbi Haber?
Yeah, so no, everyone like listens to it and says, yeah, it's a good story, but we don't do that. Okay. Um, Notel seor me isa shelo hur machalasa. Um, what happens if you take sourdough from a um from a dough that hasn't had challah taken from it? So your starter is kevel. Hasn't had so you had a big batch of dough and it was supposed to have challah taken from it. And he said, "Oh, let me take a bit of that and keep it for starter." And he lets it go and ferment and become a nice starter. Now later he comes and takes it and puts it into another dough that has had challah taken from it. So the starter is tevel, but the main body of dough is fine. It has had challah taken from it. So now the thing is that the starter is A, it's chayav in challah, and B, you can't even say it's batal because the starter is extra powerful because it's got the fermentation stuff in it. So we can't allow you to eat it until you've taken challah. So now what is he going to do? He's already mixed it in. And now, how is he going to take challah from that? Im yesh lo parnasa mimakom acher, motzi lefi cheshbon. So what he can do is he can take another batch of dough that is tevel and take dough from that to include the dough from that's got the tevel starter in it in order to exempt it. But if he doesn't have any other dough anywhere else, motzi challah achas al hakol. Now he has to take challah as for the whole batch of dough, not just for the starter, because you're now treating the entire batch of dough as tevel. Okay, and that's it.
Yeah. We're Ma'aser Sheni, hey, Yudalid.
Yeah.
They said Israelites and Zaram, I can't get this Zaram, and make the confession, but do not proselyte, and nor freed bondmen, nor did they receive a share in the land. Bermeah says, nor priests or Levites, since they did not receive a share in the land. But Rossi says they have the cities with outskirts. Yochanan, the high priest, established the Ma'aser confession. He also abolished the awakeners and the strikers. Until his days, the hammer used to beat in Yerushalayim, and in his days, no one needed to ask concerning the Ma'at.
Hadran Allah Maseches Maaseh Sheni, and let's do one more from Challah.
No, right. Aleph, if five species are liable to challah: wheat, barley, spelt, oats, and rye. These are liable to challah and combine with one another, and they are forbidden on account of Kadash before Pesach, and to be reaped before the Omer. And if they took root before the Omer releases them, and if not, they are forbidden until the next Omer.
Masros.
Yeah. Do you want to give me a kiss? I know. I know you want to give me a kiss. Not you. I meant the cat.
No, no. Oh, God, I'm so disappointed.
All right. Let me see. Okay. We have Myceris and we have olive of of dried pomegranate, seed, raisins, and carrots when he stacks them in a heap, onions when he peels them, and if he does not peel them, when he stacks them in a heap. Grain when it is smoothed down, if he does not smooth it down, when he stacks it up in a heap. Pulse when he sifts it, if he does not sift it, when he smooths it down. Even though he smooths it down, he may take from the fragmented and from the sides of what there is inside the husks and eat. Wine, after it has been skimmed, though it has been skimmed, he may drink from the upper wine press, from the duct, and drink. Oil, when it descends into the trough, though it has been descended, he may take it from the press basket and from the pressing stone, but the pressing boards, and put it in a cake or a dish, and he may not put it in a pot or saucepan while they are boiling. Rabbi Yehuda says he may put them in anything except that which contains vinegar or brine. A cake of figs, when he smooth it down, one may smooth down the figs with great figs or smooth down with figs or grapes of tevel. Rabbi Yehuda forbids it. If it's smoothed down with grapes, it is not redeemed susceptible to uncleanliness. Rabbi Yehuda says it is rendered susceptible. Dried figs, when they are stamped down in a store bin, when they are pressed together. If one was stamping down in a jar or pressing together in a store bin, if the jar broke or the store bin open, he may not eat from them. A chance meal, Rabbi Yossi permits.
Mhm.
Over here. Then we are good.
Kilayim.
No. Lion. Olive Gimel. Turnip and radish, cabbage and cauliflower, beet and oric are not kalayim with one another. Rabbi Kiva added garlic and wild garlic and onion and wild onion. Lupin and wild lupin are not kalayim with one another. As for the trees, pears and small wild pears and quince and sorb apples are not kalayim one with the other. The apple and the crab apple, peaches and almonds, jubus and lotus, though they resemble one another, are kalayim with one another. Horseradish and radish, mustard and wild mustard, and Greek gourd with Egyptian gourd, and bitter apple, though they are similar to one another, they are kalayim with the other.
Okay.
We are on to,
Nagayim.
okay, Gimel. How many stones must the house have? Rebbe Yishmael says 4. Rebbe Kiva says 8. Rebbe Yishmael used to say until it is the size of 2 grist on 2 stones or 1 stone. Rebbe Kiva says until it is the size of 2 grist on 2 stones, not on 1 stone. Reb Elazar ben Shimon says until it appears the size of 2 grists or 2 stones or 2 adjacent walls, 2 grists long and 1 grist wide. Wood, enough to build a threshold. Rabbi Yehuda says enough to make a sandal between the threshold. Clay, enough to put to be between the cracks. Walls of a feeding trough and partition walls do not become tummy from the Gayim, and Yerushalayim and outside the land of Israel do not become tummy from the Gayim. How is a house examined? The one who owns the house shall come and tell the Kohen, saying something like a nega has appeared to me in the house. Even a scholar who knows that it is definitely a nega should not decree. A nega has appeared on my house. Rather, he should say something that appears like a nega has appeared on my house. And the Kohen shall command, and they shall empty out the house before the Kohen comes to examine the nega, so that everything in the house does not become tummy. And when the Kohen comes to examine the house, even bundles of wood and even bundles of reeds, these are the words of Reb Yehuda. Reb Shimon says in the Torah, is the Torah keeping him busy cleaning out his house? The mayor said, what property of his becomes tameh? If you will say wooden utensils, his clothing, and his metal objects, he immerses them and they become tahor. What about item which the Torah concerned? About this, the earthenware utensils, a small jug, and an oil dropper. If the Torah is concerned for his insignificant property, how much more for his precious possessions? If so, for his money, how much more for the lives of his sons and daughters? And so, for an evildoer, certainly for a righteous person. Okay. We are on to
Avos.
Here we go. Ben Bagbag says, delve into it and do not stir from it. For you have no better portion than it. Ben Hay says, the warod is commensurate with the exertion. Sages taught the following chapter in the language of the Mishnah. Blessed is he who chooses them and their teachings. And last we have,
No,
okay,
no,
yeah,
we haven't. We've got
I
two.
finished.
We've got two Mishnayos in Avos to read. That first one. First of all, you started on Kaf Beis instead of Kaf Gimel. Second of all, that introduction to Perek Vav is just an introduction. It's not an actual Mishnah. Um,
Okay, all right.
we've got
So I'm
any.
on
Yeah.
above Aleph then. Reb Meir says, whoever engages in, I'm sorry, in the study of Torah for its own sake, merits many things. Moreover, the whole entire world is worthwhile for its sake. He is called friend, beloved, and he loves the omnipresent. He loves his creatures. He gladdens the omnipresent. He gladdens his creatures. The Torah clothes him in humility and the fear of God, and it makes him fit to be a righteous, devout, fair, and trustworthy person. Distances from sin and draws him near to merit. And they enjoy from him counsel and wisdom, understanding and strength. As it is said, with me there is a counsel of wisdom. I am understanding, with me is strength, and it gives him kingship and dominion and analytical judgment. They reveal to him secrets of the Torah, and he becomes like a steadily strengthening wellspring and a river that does not cease. He will be discreet, patient, and forgiving of insult to himself, and it makes him great and exalts him above all things. Rabbi Shua ben Levi says, on each and every day a bas kol emanates from Beis Korov, and it proclaims and says, woe to them, to people, because of the disgrace of the Torah. For anyone who does not engage in Torah study is called banned. As it is stated, like a golden ring in the snout of a pig, so is a beautiful woman whose good sense is departed. And it says, the tablets were God's handiwork, and the script was the script of God, engraved upon the tablets. Do not read the word as karas, engraved, but as karas, freedom, this teaches that which has no that there is no free person except for one who engages in Torah study. And anyone who engages in Torah study is elevated, as it is stated, from Matana to Nechayel, and from Nechayel to Bamos. Okay.
Okay.
I got it. Okay.
Now we got Kisubas.
Good. There we go. Okay. Olive Tess. If a woman was pregnant and they said to her, what is the nature of this fetus? And she replied, he is fathered by so and so, and he is a Kohen. Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elia said she is believed. Rabbi Yeshua, however, says she is not believed, rather is presumed that she is pregnant from a Nisonite or a Mamzer until she has proven her claim. Said Rabbi Yossi, there was an incident concerning a young girl who went down to draw water from a spring and was violated. Said Yochanan ben Nori, if most men of the city may marry off the daughters of Hanan, this woman may marry a Kohen. A woman who is widowed or divorced and says, you married me as a virgin, and he says, not so, but I married you as a widow. If there are witnesses that she went out with a veil and her hair untied, her kasura is 200 zuz. If Yochanan ben Broka says the distribution of parts grain is also proof. Okay.
Okay, and we're
That's
done.
it. Have a great day. Enjoy Kodesh Tov. Okay. Here we
Okay.
go. Come on, go down. Okay.